Lesson 6, Miss Stewart here. Yesterday was a really exciting chapter of the story read by Mrs. Woolliscraft, and we found out that Marinka is actually dead and she died when she was a baby and came back, and Baba looked after her, and that her parents weren't really Yaga, as Baba had told her all those years ago. So lots of revelations in the last chapter. Let's find out what happens today in the chapter called The Next Guardian. The Next Guardian. I sat in silence, staring at the space where the gate was, waiting for Baba to come back. She will come back. She has to. She won't leave me here all alone. The house sighs, pulling a draught down the chimney, and the candles flicker out. The dying embers of the fire cast thick, rolling shadows across the room. I crawl into Baba's chair and pull my horsehair blanket over me. Baba said the morning is wiser than the evening. Maybe she meant she'll return in the morning and then everything will be all right. She doesn't, and it's not. The morning brings harsh sunbeams that pour through the skylight and illuminate an empty, silent room. No humming, no singing, no shuffling of feet, not even the click of Jack's claws or the bleating of Benji. "Jack!" I shout. My voice cracks at the end in a sob. Jack pokes his head through the skylight and shrieks. Relief washes over me. I'm not completely alone. Jack always comes back, and surely Baba will too. I carry Benji inside to make the house seem less empty and busy myself with tidying so that everything will look nice when Baba returns. Benji skids across the floor as I clean away the last night's food and dishes and wipe the table. Then I decide Baba will be hungry when she gets back, so I build a fire, make fresh black bread dough and leave it to rise in the warmth. When she's still not back, I go for a walk along the beach to look for a good spot for us to skinny dip and sunbathe later. I choose an area with a huge palm bending over it, creating a cool shadow for Baba. She would like it here in the shade. I gather dry sticks for a campfire and think about what we could cook. We'll have a night off tonight, like Baba wanted to, and spend it together, just the two of us. I get everything ready, food and drink, candles and books, blankets and Baba's balika, so she can play music and sing to the stars. But when I've prepared it all, she's still not back. A knot forms in my stomach. The sun dips low in the sky and Jack shouts from the top of the skulls, "Of course, Baba can't come back until the gate opens, and that always happens at night. I should have realised that before. I'm not thinking straight." I light the skull candles, but leave the skeleton gate with the footbone hinges closed. As darkness falls, the dead gather by the fence, but I ignore them. I'm not letting them in. I'm not guiding the dead without Baba. I lay the table with the black bread I baked, salted butter, cheese, horseradish and kvass, all the things that Baba likes best. I sit and wait for the gate to open and Baba to return. Benji falls asleep on the floor cushion and Jack dozes in the rafters. The knot in my stomach tightens as the night draws on. I hear the restless dead shuffling outside and the occasional murmur and groan of impatience. I pull the shutters close and latch them tight, but still I hear them. The noise chills me to my bones because it reminds me I'm one of them. I'm dead too. Technically, I don't even have bones to chill. What am I? A lost soul that wouldn't go through the gate, only made real, or almost real, by the magic of the house? If I'm only able to exist here, near the house, what kind of life is this? Memories of the life I've had drift through my mind, sitting on Baba's lap when I was small, snuggling into her warm belly as she told me stories, dressing up as a knight and battling sick armies. The house grew for me. Stick armies, the house grew for me. Bouncing on the roof, held tightly by soft, fuzzy vines as the house splashed through the puddle-filled wetlands. Landscapes whizzing past, the house running through the night, watching flamingos, whales and polar bears from my bedroom window, dancing with the dead too, Baba's accordion, and falling asleep while she played lullabies. If I had to pass through the gate as a baby, none of these things would have happened. The life I'd had is certainly better than no life at all. I stare into the fire, guilt weighing me down. So many of the things I said to Baba I regret now. I don't hate my life, my death, whatever it is. It's been good growing up here with her in this magical house. I need her to come home. Nothing else matters. Whenever I'm alive, whether I'm alive or dead, a Jagger or not, I don't care anymore. I just want Baba back. Jack flops down on the floor and his claws click behind me as I pace the room. Shh! I hiss at him, trying to think what to do. I stop and stare at the space where the gate always appears. Gate open, I shout dramatically. Nothing happens. I try the Death Journey words, speaking them as loudly and clearly as I can, using Nina's joys of nurturing life for a bit that always changes, seeing as it was used the last time. The gate was open. It occurred to me that these words are a good fit for Baba's life too. Nurturing brought her happiness, and although she nurtured the dead rather than the living, she always said there was no difference between the two. The words don't open the gate though. House, I demand, glaring at the rafters. Make the gate open. Nothing happens. I stamp my feet and slump into Baba's chair. Jack beats his wings and I lift my arms over my head to protect myself from the collision, thinking he's about to land on my shoulder, but he flies over me and something soft floats down into my arms. I pull it into my lap. It's Baba's headscarf, the one with skulls and flowers. It smells of her, lavender water, bread dough, bush and kavas. I pull it around me, stare into the fire again and wait. She has to come back. She just needs a little bit longer. Who knows how high the glassy mountains are or how long the path to the stars. She'll take Nina as far as she needs to go, then she'll return. Everything will be all right. Soft knocking breaks me out of my trance. I'm not sure how long I've been staring at the fire, but it's nearly burnt out and the room is cool. Moonlight pours through the skylight, decorating Jack with the silver sheen. He ruffles his feathers, opens his eyes, and tilts his head towards the front door. I follow his gaze. An old wispy couple are standing in the doorway. I glare at the rafters accusingly. The house had no right to let them through the bone gate. Hello, the old man said in a wavering voice. May I come in? My wife is so tired. I frown as I try to make sense of his words. He's talking in a language of the dead, and I can barely understand him. His wife is hunched over, clutching him tight. Her spine is curved like a shepherd's crook, and she seems unable to lift her head or stand without his support. I can't send them away like this. I nod reluctantly. They shuffle to the table and a man helps his wife into a chair. Now they're here, I suppose I'll have to guide them away. By myself. Nerves flutter through me. I turn back to the dying fire and fiddle with Baba's headscarf. Folding it carefully into smaller and smaller triangles, I am annoyed with this old couple for invading my space and needing me to be guided, and also with Baba for not being here to do this. She's guardian of the gate, not me. Would you like me to mend up your fire? The old man offers, his hat in his hands and a warm smile on his face. No, I'll do that. I throw a handful of sticks onto the embers and they crackle in the fire. Help yourself to food, I add as an afterthought, feeling guilty for being so rude. Baba would be ashamed of me. That's very kind. The man reaches for the bread and cuts a couple of thin slices for himself and his wife. There are more dead outside there. He glances to the door. I edge towards it and push it closer with my foot, ignoring the house creak of disapproval. You know you're dead. I move to the table and sit opposite the old man, intrigued. The dead don't usually realise that they are until Baba tells them. Oh yes, we've both been expecting this for some time. He puts his hand over his wife's. I'm so pleased we'll be making this journey together. I understand him clearly now. The language of the dead is strange, invading me one minute, then making sense the next. I wonder if it's about listening, like Baba always said, or if it's more about actually wanting to understand. Right now I realise I want to understand what this man is saying. If for no other reason than it's distracting me from Baba not being here. I pour him and his wife a kavas. We've been married for 71 years, the man says proudly. Wow, I can't imagine what it feels like. He looks at his wife fondly. We've known each other our whole lives. Our parents were neighbours. We used to play together as children. The old woman smiles. They tell me of their lives together, how they sat next to each other at school, got married when they left and set up a business making clay pots. They tell me about their holidays on the same riverboat every year. Their wish to have children that never was fulfilled. A tear drips from the old woman's face. The old man puts his arm around her, pulls a headscarf from his pocket and dabs his eyes. I feel a tense hollow aching deep inside them, caused by wanting something so much for so long. He makes me think of Baba and all the lies she told because she wanted a family of her own. I wish she were here so I could tell her now I understand and I forgive her, and that she will always be my grandmother no matter what. The man goes on to tell me how he and his wife gave lessons to children, teaching them to throw clay on a potter's wheel, and how his nieces visited every summer. The couple finish each other's sentences and hold each other tight. He winks at her and light dances in her eyes. I'm swept away by the words to a home filled with handmade pots and ornaments. I smell tea, clay and glaze. I hear the laughter of children in lessons. Decades of memories fly by too fast. 71 years doesn't feel as long as I thought it would. I don't even notice the gate is open until the man rises to his feet and helps his wife to hers, and they hobble slowly towards it. What do you take with you to the stars, I ask, suddenly remembering my role in all this, rushing to pour the spirit trost. The warmth of companionship. The woman smiles and the man nods in agreement. They drink the trost, kiss my cheeks and hold hands as they step through the gate together. The death journey words flow from my mouth as they drift into blackness. May you have strength on your long and arduous journey ahead. The stars are calling for you. Move on with gratitude for your time on earth. Every moment now in eternity. You carry with you memories of an infinite value, the warmth of the companionship, peace at return to the stars. The great cycle is complete. I stare at them, searching for Baba. I try to make out the waves that hush below me, try to focus on the faint outlines of the grassy mountains. Lights flash like fireflies. I feel myself being pulled towards them. Baba, I shout, but although I feel the words in my throat, no sound comes out. My voice is swallowed by the darkness. I lean further into the gate, see the stars in the distance, above, below, beyond. Baba is in there somewhere. If I step inside, I could find her and bring her home, and then everything would be all right. I take a deep breath, pull myself to my full height, and step calmly into the gate. And year 5 and 6, that is the end of that chapter. See you soon. Take care. Bye.